Good morning and welcome to our show today, Business Rendezvous. We're excited to talk about one of the most significant developments in Nigeria's oil and gas industry, the Dangote Refinery, scheduled to open today, May 22nd, 2023. Now, the Dangote Refinery is set to become the largest single-train refinery in the world, with a capacity to refine 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day. This massive project, led by Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, represents a significant milestone in Nigeria's quest for energy self-sufficiency and economic development. The refinery is expected to create thousands of jobs, reduce Nigeria's dependence on imported petroleum products, transform the country into a major exporter of refined petroleum products to the African market and beyond. Today, we'll be discussing the many aspects of the Dangote Refinery, and we will be focusing on the potential contributions to Nigeria's economy and the wider African market. So stay tuned. Let's dive into the world of Dangote Refinery. I'm Daisy Leo Asikidi, your host on the show, Business Rendezvous, and I have a business analyst with me in the studio, Benedict Ochago. Good to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
So today's going to be a landmark day, a remarkable one in Nigeria. So from your business mind, what are the expected impacts of the Dangote Refinery on Nigeria's economy at large? You know, we're really indebted at the moment.
Yeah, the first shot is that there will be increase in federal government income because Dangote will pay huge amount of tax and all of that. Of course, you know that Dangote is one of the highest taxpayer in Nigeria, and then with the inclusion of this refinery, with such large capacity, production capacity, human capital development capacity, and all of that, you will expect that more tax will be paid. And then again, there will be savings from the Nigeria side because Nigeria now have a dependable refinery, where instead of taking their crude to other countries, the logistics of taking those crude to other countries and bringing it back will now be saved. And all of, so it will now have a positive impact on the economy because when you save, then you have to use it for other aspects of the economy, and then also the tax that will be coming from there. So there's a whole lot of inflow. And then also talking about the fact that now the logistics of bringing back and staying in Lagos and making distribution, all of those bottlenecks will be downsized and removed because you now have a home-based refinery where all what you just need to do as a government, because government has a lot of role to play in all of this. It's not just about Dangote alone. Dangote will do the production. Of course, you talk about 650,000 capacity barrels per day in production. That is a whole lot. And then now, where the thing will be is the distribution. How will it now get to the north, to the south, to the eastern part of the country? And then that will now boil down to the efficiency of the government in ensuring that they revitalize the already laid down pipelines for oil movement to the different depots across the nation. Because there are a lot of depots that are lying waste. The pipelines that have been laid to convey this oil have been lying waste because we have majorly have depended on taking our crude out and bringing it and distribute it via the tankers and the trucks, and that actually is doing a whole lot of damage to our roads. Now, the pressure on the road will reduce if we're able to service those pipelines and channel it all across the country. And also, you are sure now that there will be enough supply. Of course, Dangote will not focus only on Nigeria. No, because he will not focus only in Nigeria because he needs to also distribute across especially the West African countries and Central Africa countries, because you need to trade in dollars to earn in dollars, because the money, of course, you're talking about 19 billion US dollars. That is a whole lot of money. And then over time, conditions have been given. But I thought it would have been a blessing that maybe we say, okay, since we have the crude here now, maybe we will be able to do it maybe in Naira exchange, then reducing the pressure on the dollar when you have to do with Nigeria. But unfortunately, because the business was established based on dollar transactions, so the regulation now is that the sales will also be in dollar.
Wow.
Yeah, that is what the regulation, because he that pays the piper determines the tone. He borrowed the money in dollar. He invested on the refinery in dollar. And the standard is that he's going to use a world standard purchasing rate, which is in dollar, to buy even the crude oil from Nigeria.
Okay,
so that is the technicality surrounding the whole
Wahala for many of us who were thinking with the emergence of this refinery, the fuel price, yes, might increase, but it won't be too big. But if we're still buying the crude in dollars, it's still going to be selling it out at $1 rate, because the Dangote Refinery, as much as it's owned by Nigerian, based in Nigeria, is a business, and it borrowed money in dollars and has to pay back those monies in dollars. As if that's not enough, it still needs to get money for its operation, for cost of operation, pay its workers, make sure that the members of its board get a profit, exactly, and then still make a profit, because that's why it's in business. Interesting.
He's in business, but also the blessing comes to the fact that even if you are going to subsidize as a government, you are subsidizing to a local investor, which means that the money will still recycle around the economy, and the recycling of the money around the economy in one way or the other, whether directly or indirectly, boosts the economy. There is a whole lot of things that goes on in building an economy. When you allow it to recycle around your economy, indirectly, it boosts the economy. And that is what I think this is a major blessing for Nigeria. If our government will do all of this, maybe in other sectors, to ensure that private investors invest in all of these things and manage these things, because they are more efficient. Now, 19 billion US dollars is not up to half of what has been wasted in this present government. People waste a whole lot of money. And so if we were able to harness resources, you discover that we will have something like this, even more than 2 or 3. But if you hear the money that had been wasted, stolen, and all of this, and wasted, if we're able to put it in private hands and harness these resources, we will be singing the songs of praise even in the next 4 or 8 years.
Okay, I was reading a paper where someone was complaining that the Dangote Refinery came too late, and he feels it shouldn't even be open today. It's almost as if the outgoing administration is using it to score cheap points, to just say when they were in office, the refinery was launched. And some others are saying, no, the new administration coming on board should leverage on the refinery. And one man in particular's comment was what struck me, said, it's coming too late. We are trying to move beyond petrol, and it's now Nigeria wants to start refining petrol. But what people do not understand, that it's not just PMS that the refinery is all about. There's fertilizer, they produce kerosene, they're going to have jet fuel, turbine fuels, there's also going to be lubricants, there will be a whole lot, plastics. So it's a lot.
Are used for plastics and all of
gas and so on.
And also talking about migration from petroleum and all of that. You see, all of these things can still take the next 100 or 200 years. It's not as simple as people think. And also, Nigeria has a very lightweight crude oil, which makes it most sought after in the world. Okay. And so there's a whole lot of advantage that we have around it. So it's not coming too late. I'm talking about the outgoing administration. They will be flagging up today, but not operational until maybe about 1 month time. And also, to be able to get to that saturation of operation, it will still take about a year or thereabout, because it's a gradual process.
Okay, now let's talk about the opportunities for the PMS refining industry in Nigeria in general. If we launch this, is this going to open doors for more refineries? We know we have the modular refineries, but they're not really operating at the toppest potential that we're expecting. But we also know that most of Dangote businesses enjoys a monopolistic setting. Now, when the cement came on board, we had high hopes. Cement would be cheap, we're producing here and all of that, but Dangote cement is like one of the most expensive. So is the opening of this refinery going to benefit or increase the potentials of other refineries in the long run, by your assessment?
Yeah, definitely. But the thing is, how efficient will those refineries be if they come on board? Because it's not just about competition, it's about standard best practice. And in fairness to Dangote, of course, I do agree with you that to a large extent, he enjoys a certain level of maybe advantage, maybe from the government and all of that. But what Dangote offers in terms of quality, in terms of standard, in terms of materials, how many companies, how many people, how many business people will be able to offer that and meet up with that standard is the things we'll be talking about. And then also talking about modular refineries, we have the NNPC, also they are working, they are claimed that the NNPC are working hard to be able to maybe rehabilitate some maybe 1 or 2 refineries. I think they budgeted about $6 billion for that. And of course, you understand that when it's coming from the platform of government, a whole lot of bottleneck and all of that, we will almost expect that maybe we will not have much success towards that. But also, this also will be an eye-opener to private investors that, okay, if Dangote can do it, maybe we may not be able to do it to that large scale extent, but we can also do something to be able to complement what he is doing. Okay. But also, you know that these things are capital intensive, and you have to be a very smart business person to be able to put 1 or 2 together, to be able to invest as much as $19 billion. A whole lot is going in there. So it's not just about the market being open for everybody to invest. We'll be able to meet up to standards of operation and compete, because a lot of people just come and they feel, okay, what can I do? If you look at the cement that you said, for example, the logistics the Dangote puts in place, there's no other cement company that puts it in place. That is why you see almost every middle man market are always tending towards the Dangote cement to be able to sell for Dangote and all of that. And making it maybe cheaper or maybe more expensive is not just basically about the refinery owners alone. Like I said earlier, these people, there is exchange rate involved in all of that. I think what the Nigeria government needs to do is to work to strengthen the Naira. Yeah. When you strengthen the Naira and the Naira can compete at certain level, then the economy will have maybe huge stability. And then again, it's not even about coming to invest and not investing. There are other areas such as security. There is a whole lot of stability that has to be put in place for people to come and invest. Security, then the judicial process, and a lot of trust has to be in place. And how many people can take the risk? Dangote took a huge risk. How many people can be able to take the risk and sustain it?
Okay. All right. We're going to end our discussion today on this note. Well, there's so much questions about the refinery, but what we do know is officially today, May 22nd, the Dangote Refinery is going to be launched, it's going to be open, and we're expecting a whole lot, about 650,000 barrels of crude refined per day. That is a lot of crude oil, and that's a lot of PMS, a lot of kerosene, jet fuels, a lot of plastics, a lot of so many things, gas that will be given to us as a society, and we're hoping that we can maximize this refinery indeed. So many aspects, the environmental impact, the reason why it's also situated in Lagos that is already very saturated and all of that. But this much we're going to take on Business Rendezvous for today. We'll bring you more conversations about the refinery after its launch officially. I'm Daisy Leosekidi. We'll go on a quick break. The show continues. Please don't go away.